Welcome back to Loan Officer Success Live, and this is the Coach's Corner powered by Premier Lending. Your host, mortgage leader and business builder, Devin Dubuque, and the coach with the winning playbook, Rick Koenig. Together, they're bringing you real strategies, no fluff insights, and the exact steps to grow your mortgage business. Buckle up because this is Loan Officer Success Live. Coach Rick Koenig, what's up, brother?
Yeah, my camera freezes up every once in a while. It could be the
cold weather,
-6 to -3 degree weather we had this morning. I think right now it's actually 19. We got a heat wave.
You know, for those of you that don't know, Coach is broadcasting out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and you know the weather out there is it's a little menacing this week, huh?
It's a little crazy. Heck, we're even getting it at our headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina. They're expecting another like 6 inches today. We got 15 inches, but you know, that's no big deal. We got snow blowers for that. These guys down there are just like you down in Texas. They got ice. Nothing you can do about ice.
DFW has been shut down for almost a full week. Kids haven't been to school for 4 days. They're loving it. Parents are hating it. So, but yeah. You know what? I'm the crazy guy that still pops in and heads straight to the office. But I think it's easier to do that when you've got a Bronco.
Yeah. Big ass tires grip the road.
Yeah. So, you know, we've got a pretty bold title today. Most loan officers are going to quit in 2026 and how to be one that doesn't, right? And I want to premise that just by, you know, talking about some statistical data, because I think it's important for people to know this has been a trend, right? This isn't, you know, it's something that we're not aware of. We know this is happening. In fact, producing loan officer numbers have dropped since the peak of 2022. In fact, we've seen 46% of loan officers from 2022 exit the industry. That's a massive number. That's a massive number. In early 2025, data showed more than 20,000 fewer producing loan officers than the prior year, right? So we're still getting the full recap of 2025, but we've seen a massive decline over the last 2 years or 3 years, and we're going to see it again in 2026. And, you know, here's the reality, right? A lot of loan officers aren't going to make it through. And why? Refi boom's gone. Rates are still elevated, and we'll talk a little bit about that, right? Because I think that there's a school of camp or thought on what rates are really looking like. The market's rewarding professionals, not part-timers or order takers. And we're already seeing signs of, you know, of burnout. And, you know, the ones that built their business on low rates are scrambling. But I got to be honest, Coach, I don't think it's bad news, right? It's a reset. It's a reset. And it requires the ones who double down on relationships to have more education, scalable systems so that they can dominate. So the real question isn't, are they leaving? They are, right? The question is, are you building the kind of business that's going to survive the shift?
Well, and building a business that survives the shift, you're not going to learn anything new today that you probably haven't heard before, you know? The people that are steady eddies, the people that are growing their business, most of them have a system. They follow the system and they don't go away from the system. And that can be as simple as just picking up the phone and calling real estate agents, all the way to utilizing social media marketing, utilizing podcasting, videos, text messages, you know, just all kinds of stuff. And if you're not doing any of it, then, you know, you're either old like me and ready to retire, or you're way down in business,
or you're burnt out. You know, you're burnt out, and I think there's a lot of that right now. There's a lot of people that are just burnt out, and you know they don't know where to start, or they did start and they didn't stay consistent, and they see other people out there that are actually crushing it, and you know they're looking at them like they're superhumans. But you know what's funny, Coach? We interview people all the time. You know, we've got our morning show, you know, that we're on Monday through Friday. But, you know, I've interviewed a lot of people through the podcast as well. And what we found time and time again is the top producers that are winning in the market right now, they have a systematic formula. They stick to it. And at one point in time, they were not doing well. And they just followed that process until they got uber successful and implemented different things inside of their business to get them there. Right. And this is where, you transition yourself from, just the standard to a true professional, right? And what's a true professional doing? They're doing the things that a professional do. In fact, if you take a magnifying glass and you look at some of the top tier agents that are out there, they're doing the same thing that the top tier loan officers are doing, right? They're having local events, appreciation parties. They're educating the community. They're educating their fellow agents, right? And that's where a lot of people get it wrong. They want to have this, phone relationship, but they don't want to get out there and actually be a part of the thread that weaves everything together. And that's really what it takes in this industry right now. If you want to have a successful business and be amongst the $100 million producers, you've got to do more than just make outreach calls and put loan opportunities together, right? Yep. You have to be a part of the solution.
Yeah. And, if you want to go back a few years and talk about, building your business and having something that's stable and doesn't go away, I started in the 90s, and in the 90s, we were blessed with, we had incredibly high rates. We had people that were in the 10s. I personally owned 2 homes that were over 10%. One was 13 3/4. And I think I paid 2 points for the privilege to have it that low.
I'm losing you, Coach.
And we went under 10%, the first time we went over 10%. But when I started in the business in 92, rates were still high. Realtors were working with their regular people, and I had to go out and I had to establish myself. And, back then you could drive estate agents. Now you got to pick up the phone and call them a lot of times, but there still are real estate agents in some offices that are in their offices. And you have to learn, they're not always the producers, but whether you're calling them or whether you're walking into the office, there's nothing to stop you from doing that, or to start visiting builder reps. And then you can even visit builder reps that, have their own mortgage companies. So the way I got started was I was going into real estate offices. I was calling agents, trying to meet with them. And I was going into builder models in person, meeting the people there. And just a quick note on builder models, Thursdays and Fridays aren't a good day to go because that's their off days, because they're working Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So what I would do is I built up about 3 to 5 really solid agents that sent me everything. And then, of course, they recommended me to other agents. But I also had 3 builders where I literally built the relationship and drove it deep. I didn't pay any money for any of these. I wasn't having to take people out to expensive dinners and lunches. And I literally just earned it by being better than everybody else.
Yeah, you showed up.
And the funny thing was, calling some of these agents when the refis did start, oh my gosh, they're like, oh, hey, I got somebody and my guy hasn't called him back since yesterday. Can you call him? And I literally would say, I'll call them, but if you switch them to the other guy, I won't do it again for you. Is that cool? And that's cool. Let's do it. And that's how I landed like 3 of the top agents in Cincinnati at that time. One of them is older than me and still one of the top 10 agents in town.
Well, I'll tell you something too, Coach, because that method works. We know it works, and it's always going to work, right? But there's also a new way to do things, and I feel like a lot of people don't they kind of avoid this, right? And that is to utilize social media as your friend and use it to help you break down barriers. And I'm going to break that down for you, right? So how do you take somebody who's cold and turn them into warm? Okay. Well, first off, we have places to get targeted lists of agents. Very simple, right? There's several of them. You've got Redder, Model Match, MMI. I think, there's a ton of them out there. You pick the one that you like the best. I like Redder. I think you like Model Match. They're both great services, right? But at the end of the day, you get a chance to take a peek behind the curtain and see the people that you actually want to go out and interact with. You can see who's working with more clients. You can see if they have a lot of loan originators that they're already doing business with. But now this is where a lot of people get it wrong. They just want to go straight to the phones. They want to hire somebody to call, and those things work. But let me tell you a better way, okay? What if you now take that list of agents who you truly want to target in your local market or in other markets for that matter, and you go in and you socially start to friend request them, and interact with them on their pages, right?
Yep.
And so that's part of it. The second part of it is you have to be doing something as well on social so that they start to catch attention to you also. So that means if they go to your page, it can't just be a blank page, and it also can't just be a mortgage billboard. It has to be who you are, what you're about, and what you're doing to contribute to the market, but also what you're doing to contribute to society, and who are you as a person, right?
Yep.
So you have to have a consistency about the way that you show up on social media, so that when you do start to interact with these people that you want to build relationships with, when they go to your page, which is now your business card in 2026, right? They go, okay, this is somebody I could actually work with, because they're consistently putting out information that's going to help me, that's going to help my clients. And they look based off of what they're doing with their families or what they're doing in their profession, somebody that I would actually want to spend time with, right?
Yep.
So now you take this list of agents that you want to interact with and you friend them all, because let me tell you something. To get noticed quickly, and I did this before, I did this to get noticed in the loan originator world. I had a VA that went out and friend requested over 3,000 people. So I went from 0 friends on Facebook, because I had no Facebook account prior to, I think it was 2022. I didn't want to be on social. I had no interest in being on social. And a marketing manager came to me and said, dude, you got to be on social. You have to. That's necessary right now. Right. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do it. He's like, you got to do it. And I had no friends. So I went from 0 friends to over 3,000 friends, just because I had somebody who was not afraid to push the button. Because if I would have done it personally, I would have been afraid to friend request certain people. I would have like, oh, I don't know. They don't care. They literally just went in. I hired a VA from the Philippines to go in and just friend request anybody that was in the mortgage industry, because of what I do, right? That's my avatar. That's who I'm speaking to, right? So if you're a loan officer, you want to do the same thing with agents and divorce attorneys and financial planners, and just friend request all of them, right? So now when they start to see you show up and you show up, they show up on your pages and you're interacting with them. If you do an outreach call, you can have one simple conversation. Yep. Hey, you know what, Rick? I kept seeing you pop up in my social feed, and I wanted to reach out because I love what you're doing. I think we should catch up and have coffee. Hey, by the way, I'm sure you already have great lenders. I know people of your stature do. That's not even what this is about. I make it a point to meet other top tier professionals in this industry, because I know at some point in time, we're liable to come across each other's desk. You may see me on the other side of a contract, and I'd rather you know who I am than not know who I am, right? Because that way, when you see my name on a contract, you go, oh, that's Devin. He's one of the good ones. I can trust him. And now we know each other. Hey, and by the way, maybe we could share some great ideas and help each other grow our businesses together, right? How's Tuesday sound? Let's meet up for a coffee, or let's do a virtual call, right? So this is one thing that you can do right now that's going to help you accidentally find relationships and get you noticed in the industry that you want to be a part of. And with things that you're posting, right?
And as we learned yesterday, you know, on the MLO live show, you know, you have to be social, first of all. So if you're going to do that stuff, so John Hanks, who did the presentation for his Cageless, said, hey, I know Rick Koenig, and I know Rick's a coach, a dad, you know, a devoted grandfather, a football coach, you know, just, I know all this stuff about Rick. And you know, I thought it was pretty cool. I went and looked at my title on all my social medias, and I changed it yesterday, because I wanted people that if they look at me, who is Rick Koenig, this is who Rick is. And if they click on my Facebook, they're going to see football games after the games, all of us on the field with my son and my grandsons. And they're going to see us at events together that we've done, you know, getting the company together. And they're going to see, you know, I don't post anything politically or anything like that, but that kind of content is great. We actually have a guy that we work with, Pedro Maldonado, who runs our Sucasa Loans division, which is a bilingual division. They mostly speak Spanish, the processors, the whole team. And, you know, they've got an issue right now in the Latino community, and mainly where he's from, his city. He had a lot of people not going to work. They're canceling contracts. The bad weather came in. What did he do? He moved down to Houston, Texas. and he has family down there, and he friended people. He's messaging these people. He's having 1 or 2 meetings a day in a market, you know, basically 1,000 miles away from where he was, and he's already starting to thrive down there. And then, of course, we utilized our callers. But his social media activity right now is still supporting his community. There's a lot of people in his community that are hurting. So he's been doing videos on, this is where you can go to get help. Do you need food? Do you need this? Do you need medical? You're not going to believe it. The realtors in his community are picking the phone up and calling him or texting him going, Pedro, thank you so much for this. You are the only person speaking out to help us. Thank you for what you're doing. I'm sending all my future business to you. I really appreciate you. And then, of course, he's picking the phone up and calling and saying, hey, thank you so much. Is there anything I can do for you? Or what about your people? Do they need to know things about, mortgages, how to miss payments if they're not working? And he's been working with these people just by being social. And I mean, it was personal to him, but personal works as long as it's not political.
I was going to say, Coach, and in his case, I know Pedro, this wasn't a clever ploy to get marketing. This was just Pedro speaking from the heart because he actually cares. And now he has people that are seeing what he's posting and realizing that he's actually trying to help the community. And they're going, man, that is the kind of person that I want to be associated with, right? And that's what we're talking about. So one of the things that you want to come across as, if you want to be an expert in the industry today, is you want to come from an educator position. And, in this particular situation, he's not just an educator, but he's also assisting the community. And that's huge, right? So what do you want to do with social media, right? Because we're not all in a position
Do your quote. I love that educator quote that you had printed up. And if you don't have it in front of you, I do. It was, you're either an expert in your market or you're invisible.
Yeah.
So now if they know you socially, utilize it to show that you're also the expert.
That's it. Well, and so how do you do that? How do you come across as the expert? Well, you can go out and teach classes, right? But you can also get social right here. We're live right now on multiple social media sites, right? And we're talking about things that are going to help our loan officer community. Well, the same situation goes for you helping your clients and your agents and providing them visibility on things that they can be doing right now to benefit themselves, right? And so, what you want to do is you want to have some segments that you post every single week, right? Where you're talking about how you can serve the community or how you can provide this program that's going to help people or what's going on within the market. And then in between those things, you want to talk about being a human being and the fun things that you're doing with your family and, the difficult things that you're in, like Pedro's in a very difficult situation. You want to share that. And you become a human being, right? And you start to build real relationships, not just partnerships, right? Partnerships are great, but a real relationship is somebody that relates with you and says, man, I want to work with this person because I trust them. I believe in them. I know they come from a giving heart. They're out there sharing things that are actually valuable to me and valuable to the people that I serve. And this is who I want to be working with. And this is the difference between somebody who is wanting to be an originator and somebody who wants to be a successful originator. Because if you want to be successful, you've got to be part of the solution. And you have to be providing value to the people that you're working with so that they know you're the person that's going to show up and you're going to do what you promise and they can trust you. And this is how you can build instant trust with individuals that you've never met. What's funny, Coach? You never know what's going to connect with who. I literally posted something very basic on DSCR loans last week. I was just a little, hey, we do DSCR loans, right? And it was a picture of me, and I had 3 different people reach out to me, right? And Coach, I don't even do loans, right? We do loans as a company. I don't personally do loans anymore, so I'm not putting that out to get myself business. But at the same time, I want to let people know that we are here to serve and help. And I had a buddy of mine just reach out yesterday. He's like, tell me a little bit more about these. I've been investing. I've got 10 investment properties. How can I use this to buy more, right? All I did was just put in a quick post that took me, I think, 30 seconds to put it together in Canva, to drop it out there socially. And then in between things like that, which is the billboard advertisement, we're doing this stuff, right? Where we're out there educating people, okay? And then you've got the family stuff. Hey, this is me and the kids, and we're doing this, and we're going to this event, and, we want you to come along with us, enjoy the ride with us, right? Start doing these types of things, and you're going to see a movement in your business, right? Another thing that coach, we do this is the happy birthday videos,
Yeah.
and not just the timeline stuff, right? Where we stamp it on somebody's timeline, happy video, but an actual video that we either text message to them or we send it to their direct messenger in Facebook, literally wishing them a happy birthday. Right. And we do this for our clients. We do this for our friends, our family. We do this for the business partners or relationships that we have out there. And, these are just ways that you can make yourself relevant, because guess what? Being a great loan officer, meaning knowing how to close a loan, that's not what it takes in 2026.
No, that's your job.
That's your
You
job.
better be able to do that, or you shouldn't even be out there calling on people.
That's
well,
it.
All the stuff you just mentioned. I told the story last week about the woman calling me up who thanked me for helping her, and how it touched me so much last week. And lo and behold, guess what she got from Rick this week?
What'd you get, Coach?
A referral. I get a call from our good friend who we're going to see this week at Mortgage Con, Marilee Brown out of Texas. She says, Coach, who do you know in Minnesota or Massachusetts that can do a loan? And I said, I know just the girl. One phone call. She just happened to call me up and say, hey, thanks for being my coach a few years ago and being nice to me. And actually, I wasn't even her coach. She was just at one of our coaching events and standing at the bar. And you know me, I'm the Pied Piper. I would get 15, 20 people to go down the street, and we'd sit at the bar and restaurant on the beach, and we would get to be friends. And just by doing that, she got a loan from one phone call. You know what? I see her. I think about her. Because she has a very special story adopting her younger niece. And it's just, really fulfilling to have something like that happen. And that one phone call just got her about a $600,000 purchase up in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Well, we've talked about building relationships. We've talked about becoming an educator. One of the things that we haven't talked about is building authority through systems. And I think this is another big one that if you don't have it, or if you have it and you're not using it, because I know a ton of loan officers that fit that bill, right? You need to have a great CRM system that helps you automate things, right? And build a team behind that. And that'll be the last thing we talked about. But, have a CRM system that's going to help you with your pre-approvals. It's going to help you with your follow-up system. It's going to help you with post-closing retention and agent touch points. You brought up Kim Mason a little bit ago, and I think this is a great point to talk about here. Kim's got a CRM. She uses Bonzo. Very familiar with Bonzo. I built a great system in here. I've got my own stories that I can share where loan officers did nothing and got business. But in her case, she did do something. She wanted to send out a text to her clients along with an email, but she messed up and sent it out like 4 times, right?
Oh, yeah.
The wrong people go, oh, man, what a mess, right? That's not cool. You can't do that. And you're right. You don't want to do that all the time. You don't want to spam your people. But at the same time, what ends up happening is she follows that up with an, oops, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And that sincere came from the heart. And she ended up landing multiple applications from consumers just because they saw that she was thinking about them. She admitted she's a real person and she made a mistake and she sent it out too many times. But that comes from automations inside of your CRM. And that doesn't mean that you replace yourself. But what it does do is when people are getting consistent updates from you throughout the loan process, after the loan process, right, a happy birthday message, they start to go, man, you know what? When I need something, I can rely on Coach, right? And the reality of the situation, it's not necessarily because you're doing it, but you built a CRM system that does it for you. And if you build these things right, it speaks like you do. And so it really is coming from you because you took the time to build the automations that go out. And
automation is important right now.
Automation is important. We're in an AI world, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we've got to embrace the technology because what's going to happen? We had today, Lynn Goss was talking about, I can't remember the company, but it's a massive company. And they had, programmers last year. I think she said they had like 33,000 programmers, right? That were working in the company. And now there's 500, right? Why? Because they got replaced by AI. Now, am I saying that you're going to get replaced by AI? No, not if you're in front of it. You've got to get in front of the technology and use it to your advantage. So making sure that you have a CRM as you're scaling your business and utilization of that CRM to make sure that you're staying in front of the right people at the right times and delivering the right messages is going to be very important for your business, right? So I can't encourage you enough. If you have a CRM, you're not using it, learn how to use it in 2026, make that a priority. And if you don't have a CRM, either build one or get with a company that has one that will do the work for you, because you've got to have these type of systems in play to make sure that you're building a long-term scalable business. And I think a lot of originators, we get stuck in this realm of, I'm this one person and I always got to do it myself. No, you don't. And that brings me to the last part, and that's leverage your time like a CEO, right? And what does that mean, Coach? How do you leverage your time like a CEO? What can you do that helps leverage your time as you start to scale and grow?
Pay people to do the things that don't really make you any money but need to be done. Find people that can do things for you that you don't know how to do that well. And if you can't find those people within your own company, then go out and hire somebody.
And what's funny, Coach, is sometimes we act like this is a new concept. This goes back decades, right? If anybody's read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, there's a segment in there, I believe it's about Henry Ford. And it was, Henry, he wasn't a super educated man. And at one point in time, back in the, early 1900s, late 1800s, it was a crime to be a CEO of an organization and not have education, right? That people looked down upon you. And he got called upon trial, right? Because he did not know certain basic functionality that they felt like he should know. And he stopped this thing in the middle of it, after it sounds like, I think it was days or hours of badgering. And he said, let me bring you this point, right? Now I'm going to butcher this, but who cares, right? He said, here's the deal. He's like, I may not know this personally, but on my staff, I have a man that knows this inside and out better than any expert in the country because he is the expert. And when I need to have that information, I can call upon that man to gather that information. Do I really need to know this? Right. And this is what we're talking about here is that we may be great at putting loans together, and we better be. We need to know how to put our loans together. As a loan originator, we need to know that process. I don't care what anybody else is telling you. You want to know that inside and out because that's how you create a great process. But does that mean you always have to be the only one that's doing it? No. You can bring people onto the team that can support you by building the loans for you so that you can get more time back to go out and do the things that are really going to move the needle in your business. And you may be the best person at it, but if somebody can do it 80% as good as you can, that's good enough to replace yourself with somebody else.
Yeah.
And there's a really good book by Dan Martell. I encourage you to go out and read it, called Buy Back Your Time. And he talks about, as you're scaling your business, why it's so important to implement these roles earlier on than you believe, even if it means you have to take a temporary pay cut, because it's going to lead to long-term success and the ability to build an amazing business for yourself.
Yep.
So,
and think about this. How many of us growing up knew everybody's phone number by heart? One of the smartest men in history in the United States could not remember phone numbers. And it wasn't that he could not, he did not remember phone numbers. And you know why? He could look them up. Albert Einstein did not know anybody's phone number.
Well, it took away from his ability to think about things that were more meaningful.
So I knew every phone number, and I'm no Albert Einstein.
Well, maybe we just prioritized on the wrong things, Coach.
Yeah.
Maybe we were just prioritizing on the wrong.
But I could run down the street and yell, "Oh, Tim," and Tim would come out of the house. Man, it used to work just great.
Yeah.
So.
Well, guys, I hope you gained some value on this one. These are the things that we're seeing, and we are 100% seeing people do this and close hundreds of millions of dollars in volume annually as loan originators. And the smartest part about all this is think about scaling before you scale, right? Plan out what that's going to look like for you. Don't make decisions now based upon a one-man team. Make decisions right now based upon the fact that you're already where you want to be, because that's how you get there. It's no different than if I wanted to take a trip up to Canada, right? And effectively, am I going to do that with the map, or am I just going to go north, right? Well, I can certainly get there by going north, but it's going to take me a lot more time, and I'm going to have a lot more problems that I'm going to run into. Whereas if you map this out in your business and say, this is where I want to be, this is where I'm going to implement these things, and this is why I'm going to implement these things so that I can scale and grow, you're going to get there way faster. You're going to look back a year from now and you're going to go, wow, look what I've done in the last 12 months. And you will still be standing while other people in this industry are walking away.
100%. And when you're doing those comments on social media and stuff, what we've learned is you got to do more than 5 words. So it can't just be like. It's got to be, hey, this is really cool. Thanks for posting, and things like that. So,
yeah. Well, guys, we appreciate you as always tuning in. Coach and I will be back here every single Thursday. So look for more great episodes. And if you want to find us, on the different platforms, go over to YouTube. If you're on Facebook, go check us out on YouTube. You can find us over there at LOS_live. Again, at LOS_live. Full disclosure, it might be easier to find under my name, Devin Dubuque. That's typically the best way to find us over there. On Instagram, we're at los.live.hub. los.live.hub. You can also find all those at loslive.live, www.los.live. And if you want more of this great information, right? If you think it's great, maybe you think we suck, I don't know. But if you love it and you want more of it, come find us on the MLO Live show with Scott Hudspeth and John Hinks Jr. Coach and I will always be there Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. And that's the MLOLiveshow.com. And man, we've got great guests. We're bringing the heat every single day. So we'd love to see you guys over there as well. But I think that's going to wrap us today, Coach. So until the next one.
Coach Rick Koenig here.
Devin Dubuque. We'll see you there. You've been watching Loan Officer Success Live, where real strategies meet real success. Don't forget to subscribe now and share it with your teammates and keep leveling up, because your next breakthrough starts here. If this fired you up, don't just watch success, go out there and build it.